Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So we've had even more shaman changes from the previous video I'd done a few days ago, going over some of the 10.0.5 changes, which you can find up here. If you've not already watched that, I would recommend going through that because there's a lot of changes on there, and then these are going to be additional changes going forward alongside those ones. So let's get into them straight away. As you can see, we've got quite a few changes here on top, again, like I said, of the ones that we already have in the previous video I'd done. So let's just crack straight on. So we have another new talent coming in, which is kind of crazy because we're getting like 5 new talents, which seems like quite an excessive amount. I'm sure they all play their own part. It's very interesting that we're getting quite a lot of changes to current abilities, and then alongside that a bunch of new talents. So I think we're going to definitely get a different playstyle when this all goes live. So this is called Voltaic Blaze. Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning have an 18% chance to make your next flame shock become Voltaic Blaze. Voltaic Blaze instantly shocks a target and 5 nearby enemies with blazing thunder, causing nature damage and applying flame shock, and it generates 1 stack of Maelstrom weapon. This is quite interesting because if you go back to the previous video, there was a move that was called Lightning Spark, which does a very similar thing. And in the previous video I mentioned that it seems like they're almost trying to change how we do our opener. Now it might not change when you have like no Maelstrom and you run into a pack. You're obviously still going to flame shock and primordial wave and like lava lash spread, right? But if you are chaining packs and you go into a new pack with some Maelstrom ready and you can lightning bolt or chain lightning, obviously depending on single target or AoE, it's making it seem like they're trying to implement ways where you can kind of just spend for a chance to instantly then apply flame shocks without doing the whole flame shocking a new target, lava lashing off of it, blah blah blah. I'm not sure how I feel about these sort of implications. I don't know if I like them very much. I mean, they're cool additions that you can probably just choose if you want to play these sort of things or not. No idea how strong they're going to end up being, but this one just seems to be more of a flame shock spread. I guess we'll see how that plays when it comes in, alongside the previous one from the other video, the tremor shock one. So another new talent, Unrelenting Storm. When Crash Lightning hits only one target, it activates a Wind Fury weapon and its cooldown is reduced by 40%. And this is going to be a choice node with Converging Storms. This basically makes Converging Storms, which is the one underneath Crash Lightning currently. I can just quickly open my game and show you guys. So this is the one that makes your Storm Strike stronger the more you hit with Crash Lightning. It turns it into a single target choice node. You can have the option of basically playing into Crash Lightning in single target, which is currently obviously not a thing. And it also, because it triggers Wind Fury weapon now, that also means it's going to be a pretty good Maelstrom generator if it gets quite good props on Wind Fury there. And it also reduces the cooldown of Crash Lightning by 40%. I'm not sure if that's that relevant because you probably don't use it that often anyway, unless it's quite strong. But again, this could work in some places. I could see this being quite valuable. So Storm Blast has been updated, which is currently the passive here that basically just does additional damage on your Storm Strike. So Storm Strike has an additional charge. That's interesting. 2 stacks on Storm Strike. It's going to be very strange to play around. Storm Surge now also causes your next 2 Storm Strikes to deal 25% additional damage as nature damage, stacking up to 2 times. Just another buff towards the physical build, I would say. You're never really going to play this unless you're in physical build. Like the current elemental build is never going to use this because we barely want to press Storm Strike as it is in that build. It's just more of a filler or to try and fish for Awakening Storm procs. Interesting change. Having 2 stacks of Storm Strike could feel quite weird, but it would be nice, I guess, if you're playing a physical build, definitely. Storm Blast additional nature damage now functions with both main hand and offhand attacks. That's quite a nice change. Just additional buff pretty much there for the damage because it can proc more often. Arc Lightning has been updated. Tempest causes your next Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt to be instant cast and deal 40% increased damage and cast an additional time. Arc Lightning used to only be Tempest would give you a free Chain Lightning for 40% increased damage. In the previous iteration of the patch notes, they added in the Lightning Bolt. So obviously that's still a thing, Chain Lightning and Lightning Bolt, dealing 40% increased damage, but now has the additional thing of casting additional time. Now I'm not sure if this is going to consume both the stacks that you get from Arc Lightning, or if it's going to be just an additional one on top of that, so you can basically do it twice in a row and it will cast 2 hits for both of those. From just reading it, I would imagine that it's going to be both charges of Arc Lightning will be used on the one Chain Lightning or Lightning Bolt. But either way, it's a nice change, right? Regardless, it doesn't really matter if you get the 2 stacks still or not. It is a nice change. Forum's Invocation has been slightly adjusted. If Forum's Invocation is slated to use Chain Lightning, it will no longer cast a 5-stack Tempest as a replacement of Chain Lightning when using Wind Strike. Now that is a very nice change because previously, as you probably know, Forum's Invocation works in a way that the previous spend you use before you Wind Strike is what it will consume 5 Maelstrom to use. So if you'd used Lightning Bolt before you Wind Strike, it will then use Lightning Bolts when you Wind Strike, and vice versa. Whereas previously, if you had a Tempest ready and it was using Chain Lightnings, it would still consume your Tempest, which was really, really bad. Because obviously when you're in Ascendance, you want to manually send your Tempests by pressing Lightning Bolt you don't want to have Wind Strike send it, because it only consumes 5 Maelstrom instead of 10, which is obviously then wasting half the Maelstrom on the Tempest, and you don't want to do that. So this is a really, really nice change, which basically just prevents us from more often accidentally spending our Tempest instead of on purpose sending them by pressing Lightning Bolt. Really nice change. And again, talking of nice changes, Thorium's Invocation's old effect has been added back. Again, if you haven't watched my previous video, go and watch that. I'll explain over there that 20% increased Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning damage has been removed. That is now being added back. That is a huge buff, because losing that was pretty powerful. Powerful in a bad way, because obviously 20% on your spenders, especially if you're playing into the Stormbringer build, is huge damage. Losing that was pretty relevant. Having that back, absolutely beautiful. We love that. Deeply Rooted Elements now activates from Tempest, Lightning Bolt, or Chain Lightning. That is incredibly interesting. I don't know if that means we're going to play into DRE, because currently we play the Ascendants, and Ascendants will be getting a 2-minute cooldown instead of a 3-minute cooldown, and DRE will be going from 6 seconds to 8 seconds. I don't know if it means we'll play it now, having it proc from 3 additional abilities, not just from Storm Striking, but if we do go into it, that is definitely a huge buff to it, because that is 3 different ways we're going to be able to proc Ascendants instead of just by using Storm Strike. But a lot of these changes look like it could really buff physical build, which personally I hate, because I really hate playing into the physical build. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys prefer elemental build or physical build. I'd love to know where everyone kind of sits with that. Personally, I do not like playing into physical build. I hate it compared to elemental build, but it does look like physical build is going to be way stronger with some of these changes. The damage effect of Doomwind is no longer considered a melee weapon attack and does not generate Maelstrom weapon or trigger Flame Tongue weapon. So this is basically just in the previous iteration of the changes. Again, they made Doomwinds have like an AoE effect going around you for 8 seconds when you activate it. I believe this is just making it so that doesn't proc Flame Tongue or generate Maelstrom, which isn't a massive difference. In them sort of windows, you're normally going through quite a lot of Maelstrom anyway. It's not really a big deal. An issue causing Primal Maelstrom to still grant 5/10 stacks, depending on the amount of points you have in that node. Maelstrom weapon instead of 3 out of 5 has been resolved. Basically, they changed Maelstrom weapon generation from Primal Maelstrom to 3 or 5 instead of 5 or 10, and that was obviously not working as they intended, so they've just fixed that to make sure it is only giving you 3 or 5 and not 5 or 10. Ice Strike is now a choice node between a new ranged version and the existing melee version. Interesting, because they made Ice Strike basically proc off of Maelstrom spenders to be a passive. I don't know if that's going to be the same talent making that a ranged one and a melee one or what, but not sure how that's going to work. But basically we have a ranged version and we have a melee version. Ice Strike no longer highlights Frost Shock on the action bars. Ice Strike's Frost Shock buff is now on personal resource display. These 2 changes aren't a massive deal. Most people that are playing things like Hailstorm and Frost Shock and stuff like that probably have some weak aura or something tracking that anyway. I know I personally have a tracker for that myself. Lightning Spark has been removed. I'm going to be honest, I don't even know what Lightning Spark is. And if I go into my game, I don't even know if it's actually part of the talent tree. Nay, I don't even know what Lightning Spark is. So yeah, again, there's quite a few hefty changes there. Quite a few things that pretty relevant. Like if you add all that stuff onto the other video, like the other changes, we have got a hell of a lot of changes coming in. Now personally, I don't play betas very often, and I won't be playing the beta before these changes come in live. So if any of you guys have got any more comments on any of this stuff, any of you guys have played it, let me know how you're feeling about it. Let me know how it feels to play some of these changes, some of the talents you like, some of the talents you dislike. Just leave a comment down below. Let me know. I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on this sort of stuff. As for when this sort of stuff goes live, I think there's rumors going around that it's going to be around like late October. I think there were some posts saying 22nd of October, maybe early November. So we have another month and a half, 2 months-ish before this sort of stuff really goes into live anyway. But yes, I'm very interested to see how it all kind of plays out in terms of sims, what sort of builds we're going to be playing, whether it changes for AoE and single target, whether we're just playing like both elementalist or physical build in both now. I don't know. It does look like physical build is going to get some pretty big changes, which kind of scares me. God forbid I play physical build for single target and AoE. I think I will probably weep. Even if I have to play into physical build and I'm crying like a little baby, these changes do look really nice. It is incredible to see us getting like 5 or 6 new talents, loads of passive changes. You love to see it. Like I said before, if you haven't already seen the previous video where I was going over some of the changes last week, please give that a watch. It's just up here. It is worth watching. And then if you combine it with this one, you'll see all of my thoughts on all of these changes. You'll see how many changes there are. And yeah, it's exciting times ahead. Catch me live. I'm streaming pretty much every day, especially as we go into Mythic Plus season. My little link will be up here, and I'll see you around. If you've got any more questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. Feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll see you around, boys.